Good evening and welcome to this edition of Referees Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me this evening is Richard Todd from Academy. Richard, last week, Thursday, it was almost like a passing out parade of a number of young people from the school who have done referee Bermuda Football Association, the referee, head of referees for the Bermuda Football Association. Richard, having so many young people involved in school, give us a sense of what it was like.
Brother Earl just seemed to be having a little bit of technical issues with going in and out, so I've missed most of what you said.
Okay. Yeah, give us a sense of what it was like when you put it out that this program was going to be available for the students.
Yeah, I spoke with Cranston early in the year about the desire to try to, get something moving and going with the referees. And so, when he presented the option for, this pilot program, we jumped on it because we certainly thought it was a great addition, not only to the football program, but it tied in with, our activities and our enrichment that our middle school and senior students are involved in. So, we were pleasantly surprised. We had in excess of 50 students who actually registered for the initial course, and we made a decision to trim it down, and we took an intake of 26 for this initial one. So tremendous response. The majority of them are youth football players, but not surprisingly, there were a few non-players in the room who were quite eager as well to get involved in the referee program. So, yeah, we were truly excited and pleasantly surprised and pleased with, the oversubscription.
Sure. First of all, again, welcome, Mr. Williams, referees for the Bermuda Football Association. Just asked Mr. Todd about the overwhelming response to the invitation to be part of this program. You've been talking with Simon and the others in the UK about the program for some time, and the fact that you got it and that you had so many young people from Work Academy sign up. Your thoughts from the standpoint of the Bermuda Football Association and what you think about the program itself.
Good evening. Well, for me, I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. But I must say, Richard, like myself, is a go-getter. So once I reached out to him, he embraced it. I had previously spoken to Alan Snoddy from Ireland and Simon Braddock, who he trains the Premier League referees. He's a fitness coach or performance coach, I should say. So when they explained to me, Alan said he had a program he had done before in Ireland that worked very well. So I asked him, could we mirror that and put it in place for Bermuda? So the last time they were here, we did what we call a roadshow, where they visited Work Academy, Soltis, Barclay Institute, as well as Cedar Bridge Academy. And
Cedar Bridge.
Cedar Bridge. And the response was good at all these schools, but however, the school that came forward and said they were ready to rock and roll was Work Academy. So I reached out to Richard, and we agreed because all the schedule set up the Thursdays, and every Thursday via Zoom, and then Daniel Parchman and Rohan Thorburn once in Bermuda. And they also helped out, did a fitness session with them where they were doing like a fitness check to see where they were. And that was also overwhelmingly successful. So for me, to know that we have 26 new young referees for September, it bodes well for the future. Definitely bodes well for the future.
Sure. Richard, you mentioned that a lot of these youngsters do play. How do you encourage them to balance both playing, officiating during next season?
Well, it's always the key, but Cranston does a good job of scheduling them, looking at where they're playing their games, and typically they will, if they're playing, let's say at 11:30 in the under 11s, then they can pick up games at that venue for under sevens and under nines preceding, or sometimes after, and what's been common is typically sometimes when they're not even scheduled, there's a need for a referee, and they happen to be there. And the kids are just excited. They're jumping in, and sending a communication to Mr. Williams to let him know, hey, I did another game today, because there is a little bit of incentive for them that they can earn. They are earning some financial remuneration for the matches that they're doing, right? So it would be similar to maybe doing a Saturday job where they're packing groceries, which often at times might conflict with their participation in football. Now they have a chance and opportunity to kind of blend the two together. So it works well. As a coach, we greatly appreciate having the youth referees because the past has been where coaches had to get into the field and ref. And we would much rather be focused on managing our teams and coaching the games. But I also think it adds another element. It gives them an understanding, a different understanding and viewpoint of the game. And then, of course, there's a myriad of skills, life skills that are associated with being a referee. So overall, it works well.
One thing, Mr. Williams, I think you helped out the Bermuda School Sports Federation in having people available to referee football games during school matches.
Yes, we have. Being that I am in the school system myself, it is kind of frustrating at times when you have a PE teacher, you're on your home field and you're refereeing and you're seeing blatant calls that, like, hey, what are you doing? But not to say anybody's being biased, but of course, that competitive nature. So, and a lot of the PTs have reached out to me and said, listen, can you send us a referee, please? To take away me having to ref and coach, like Richard just said. So we try our best to help out where we can. Like I said, we try our best. It's not always that we can provide, but we do our best to make sure that we have adequate numbers.
Yeah. Richard, give us a sense of those students that you would have seen stand out in the program, like took the one, grasped it with both hands and ran with it.
Yeah, there were actually three students that we recognized, and for me, it was their participation within the class. Always putting forward answers when the questions were posed. We had Jaden Smith, who was one of the older participants. He actually had an introductory experience during the course. He was at a game. He plays for Vasco, and one of the teams was in need of referee. I think it might have even been the senior team, and he took the line and was commended, for the job that he did, and that excited him. He came back.
I think
you're on mute, Richard.
Your audio is going off. And he can't hear us either. Let me see if he can go out and come back in.
Yeah, he's on mute.
Yeah. Well, Cranston, you hear that type of thing from written.
Your internet, your Wi-Fi is going in and out there, Mr. Bazin.
Okay. No, I was asking you when you see someone from Morgan Academy jump into a senior game to run the line, let's say about the program.
Oh, definitely. I remember actually that game. Somebody did call me and tell me the young man did the match, and I got his number from, I think it was one of the coaches from basketball coaches. He sent it to me, and I said, would you be interested in refereeing? And he said, yes, it's part of the work academy program. But he said, however, the issue would be because his training schedule and how he plays. But the coaches on the day were very, very impressed. And I said to him, I said, while you might play football, you should really look at the avenue of refereeing because, that could take you somewhere else. And, he was really enthusiastic about it. And so now praying that come September, he'll jump in, full speed. So Richard's back now.
Yeah, sorry, lost
Richard,
you there.
you went off after you were talking about the fresh young man. So you can pick up the other two.
So Jasper Herrick was the next individual. Jasper is an under 13 player who also plays with Vasco. He plays here at Work Academy as well, attends the various camps. And anytime you see Jasper and you're interacting with him within football, he's going to ask you 10 questions anyway. He loves to participate, and that energy came out within the course. So he was constantly with his hand up, ready to answer. Quite often we would have to give somebody else a chance, but invariably at times we would come back to him, he did a good job. And then the third one, we tried to balance because we had some females in the room. And I thought Amanya Maris did a good job with her participation. She's not primarily a footballer. She runs track and field. She's heading off to Carifta to represent Bermuda. But she came in and, registered, enrolled in the course. And I was quite pleased with the level of her participation as well. Right. So to get someone who's not normally on the field on a Saturday, keen to come in and do the officiating course, and then, being real eager with our participation. Those are the three that we recognized: Amanya, Jaden, and Jasper.
Yeah. Richard, when we look at what is available for these young people these days, that was, it wasn't readily available for us when we were younger, but to see so many of them take it, and run with it kind of thing. What does that say about football on the island, and especially young people?
Well, I think that it's good that they're eager. The challenge for us and our community of football in Bermuda is to keep these individuals involved, because bringing them in is one aspect, but as we know, officiating can be really tough. So getting clubs to understand and educating their coaches, who in turn educate their players and their parents. These are young people; they're learning and they're developing, and we must be supportive of them. It is wrong to expect that their standards would be the same as what we would see with a Premier Division referee in the UK watching TV. They are going to make mistakes, and quite often at times they haven't made a mistake. It is the miseducation or uneducation of coaches and fans of players when the referee is making the right call, who are constantly challenging. Right, so that's the biggest thing for me, is that we've got to work to keep them involved in the game. And we speak to them a lot about, one of the characteristics and qualities of being a referee is you got to have tough skin, right? You don't respond to everything, but, when it is constant, we got to remember that they are young people and they are human. The referees are human. And if the abuse is constant directed toward them, they may not come back the next week and want to officiate. And then what happens is that coaches, we're now looking around at Cranston and saying, we're the referees. We don't have referees this weekend, and we have to referee the game. So it's really, really great, the difference between when I was a young player, not having this support out there on the field in terms to do the coaches to do their job. Now we have young officials. Let's keep them in the game, because I think some of them have a bright future. You look at Dunstan Desar and the professional manner that he conducts himself. I was quite impressed with him in the under-13 final on the weekend. Right, so if we can keep them involved and keep them in the game, we can put more of these individuals on the FIFA list. They can travel the world and get experiences, through officiating.
Arrow looks like he's frozen.